Hey, it's a little after 10, so we're going to go ahead and get started. We want to welcome you here. My name's Elaine Jackson, and I'm the director of the Coordinated School Health Program for Stewart County Schools. You're here for the Family Life Public Hearing, and we just thank you for coming. It's an evolving process, and as you are here today and you learn more about it, you'll see what we mean about that. Just to go over a little housekeeping that we have on our agenda, there's a sign-in sheet out in the hallway. If you did not sign in when you came in, please do that when you leave. It's a public hearing, so we want to make sure that we have documentation of everyone that was able to be here today. And there's an agenda out there. If you did not get an agenda and you would like one, we have some more over here. Just let us know, raise your hand, we'll bring you one. We will have questions at the end after we go through our small presentation, and then we will open it up for a lot of questions, concerns, anything that you would like to voice. And we also have, just for your convenience, a suggestion box up here. There's some little index cards. If there's a concern that you have or a question that you've asked and you want to make sure that we are aware of that, then write it down on that, put it in the box. If there's a sensitive question that you have, because it could be sensitive questions that take place today, you don't want to say it out loud, write it in the box, put it there. The other thing is, please put your contact information on it if it's something that I need to get back to you about. Okay, if it's just a concern, you can put it in there. But again, if I need to get back to you, put your contact information. To kind of go over the rationale or the goal behind the law, there's copies of the law over here if anyone is interested in that. The goal of the Family Life Education is to help people to get the information, motivation, and abilities to make good decisions. So it's basically all about making good decisions. So how do we in Stewart County go about making good decisions? Well, it's the curriculum that we use. Some of the curriculum that we have been using is the Michigan model. The Michigan model was adopted by Stewart County Schools back in 2008 by our curriculum committee, and that is what we've chosen to continue to use on the digital platform. We also have something called Elevating Expectations that is back here on our elementary table. It goes over things like physics of feelings, managing disappointment, as well as just being a fair, friendly type of person. Other things that they will learn in the elementary school is where their thumb is, where their elbow is, those types of things. When you move over into the middle school, they may start learning about the systems, such as skeletal systems, where the thumb and the elbow all come together into a system. Then it goes into the high school. It's a little bit more sensitive there. Ashley Thomas is actually one of our wellness teachers. She's going to go into that in a little bit more detail. Before we get started with that, we'll start back here with Miss Virginia, and I'll let them all introduce themselves. We have our teachers and counselors here that are going to be using this particular model.
Okay, I'm Virginia Mulcahy, and I'm the school counselor at North Stewart Elementary School.
Liz Seals, school counselor at Dover Elementary.
Karen Gray, health teacher at Dover Elementary and North Stewart Elementary.
Carla Wallace, middle school counselor.
Ashley Thomas, I'm a lifetime wellness teacher and a coach at Stewart County High School.
So before we get started into Ashley presenting a little bit more detail into the curriculum, we also have our director of schools and our federal program supervisor here. Mr. Mike Craig, would you like to have any time for comments?
Just
questions?
want to say thanks for everybody coming out. This is they passed the law that we have to institute a curriculum. This curriculum, again, I want to emphasize, was adopted back in 2008 in Stewart County, and we have used it at times. At times, we didn't have to teach things because the requirement was the teen pregnancy rate in the county had to be to a certain degree before you had to teach this. We have, now the law says everybody has to have a way to get this information out. And I just wanted to say thank you for everybody coming. We appreciate your input. There'll be more chances for input at the parent-teacher conferences coming up on November 10th. So just, again, thank you. That's all I have, Ms. Lane.
All right, thank you. Dr. Duncan? We'll turn it over to Miss Ashley. She's gonna tell us a little bit more detail about it.
Yeah, so the state of Tennessee does not have a mandated curriculum for the family life education. They do have recommendations, and they do recommend the Michigan model. The Michigan model did come into place in 1984, and it's used across 39 states in the United States. It is very popular in the state of Tennessee when it does come to our family life education model as well. So what we're gonna do is I'll kind of go through the digital platform. Now you might see that some things up here that are like, I don't know if really 4th and 5th grade or 6th grade should be learning that, and that's okay because we go by our standards and we go by our digital policy. So some things you might see in here are fully scripted lessons. Teachers are not coming off opinions, they're not coming off experiences, they're coming off fully educational and fully factual information for our students. And so I'll kind of just scroll around a little bit. If you guys want to, I did print off some in-person lesson plans from grades, I think it was 1 through 12. And it kind of just shows you what it's about. So grades K through 5, it's more social emotional learning. Grades 6 through 8, it does introduce a little bit about HIV/AIDS prevention, but it still kind of focuses on that social emotional learning and personal safety. Grades 9 through 12, it does get a little bit sticky. We do kind of dive into more personal matters, but again, everything is still abstinence-based, abstinence-centered, and everything we do goes by state standard and board policy. So if you guys don't mind, I'm gonna look at my screen up here. So I'll kind of just jump around. I think I might just do grades like 1, 5, maybe 8th grade, and 9 through 12 if okay with you guys. So I'm gonna click on here. So this is what teachers will see, and there are different units. We'll kind of click on the different units and walk through them, but mostly everything you see is, again, fully scripted. It's a living document, so if the creators ever decided to change anything, we'll actually update live in our terms as well. So we don't have to go fishing for any new subscription or any new platform. So we can do helping our friends and family, and again, it lays out everything for us, self-awareness, its core concept. And I do want to emphasize that the Michigan model is aligned with our national standards as well as our state standards. So we're just going to scroll down, and again, this is what teachers will see. This is very, I would say, a good transition, especially for students who might be sick at home or they are homebound as well, because these are very easily sent via email or Google Classroom as well. And again, this is just 1st grade, so I'm going to go back. Again. I'll jump to maybe 5th grade. And again, so it does have an HIV education unit, but in our Tennessee state standards, we will not be teaching 4th and 5th grade about HIV and AIDS preventative care. That's just not in the standards, it's not in the policy. So it might come with the curriculum, but we will not be teaching that. But I do want to say 5th grade and 6th grade is still heavy on the social emotional health unit and the personal health and wellness unit. I will jump to middle school, and right here, the growing up and staying healthy, that is the curriculum we'll be using for the middle school. And here is a list right here. There is a couple lessons here and there. I'm sure we'll, as a committee and as a board, we'll go through and we again will align those with standards and board policy. But everything is pretty straightforward, and it really focuses on students making healthy decisions for themselves, for others. It might mention some puberty here and there, but it really kind of transitions them from middle school to high school. And so here's just the middle school lesson format the plan. And then high school down here. Letting that one load. And then high school, the format's a little different in terms of the digital format, but I think there's about 20 lessons in total, and there are a few lessons that we will omit. But overall, all these lessons are very straightforward, very seamless for students and for teachers to use across a multi-school format. So that's all I got on my part. Are there any questions about the Michigan model that I may not have covered? Yes, sir.
Do parents have the access to this material online?
They will not. This is more of a teacher format. We can look into different ways for parents to actually see this information. I do have some examples. If you guys want to take pictures of them, that you're more than welcome to. But we can also send home, I would say, packets as well for parents if they would want to kind of vet the process before they sign their permission slip, if that's okay with you guys. And before I say anything else, the permission slip, This was done last year. This is a parent's legal right to opt out of anything family life educational, grades 6 through 12. I think we did talk about if a parent really felt the need to do this for grades K through 5, they have the ability to. But this right here gives the parents a legal way to say, hey, I do not want my kids to stay in there for that presentation. High school will be different than this. We're gonna add a back to the high school and I believe in middle school as well, and we're gonna name off the lessons. If you sign this, you're like, hey, I want my kid to stay in all these lessons except for this one, you can circle it, and I know that day I'm gonna send your student to the library and they'll do some, work to kind of still educate them, but they're not in the library or in the classroom itself. So, and every parent, every child will get one of these. Yes, ma'am?
Why are we omitting some of the lessons if this is the curriculum we're picking to use?
So the curriculum is used for all 50 states, and all 50 states have different standards. And so they made it so of a good variety, so each state could pull and pick from what they choose, what they need to be. Because not every state is the same when it comes to standards and board policy.
And you were talking about introducing about like puberty and stuff.
Yes, ma'am.
For more, just a little in the middle school, but it seems to be more in the high school, where kids start puberty in middle school. So why are we not focusing more on it when they're actually going through it?
That's a really good question. We will be focusing more on puberty in middle school. I think I misspoke. It's more of a transitional piece from puberty to middle school to more of the heavier topics in high school, such as HIV, STI, STD, and just simply saying no.
So we're looking, so they are gonna put the puberty part in the middle school, but they're trying to keep the sex ed out of the middle school, keeping that at the high school level?
I
Is
think,
that the
I think
concept?
that's the concept, yes, ma'am. I think they'll still introduce HIV, STI, STD as in terms of sexually transmitted disease. They will introduce that in grades 6 through 8, that is state standard. But the active, we'll discuss about saying no as well. But the active, like the female male anatomy, things like that, that will be reserved for the high
And
school.
why are we looking more at an abstinence-centered one versus also more of a safe sex version of sex education for the high schoolers?
So-
Or middle schoolers on top of that, just in general?
Yeah, so I think overall what we're gonna do is we're gonna do an abstinence center. That is more state and more policy. There is not much wiggle room with that. We do that in terms of, we introduce certain practices when it comes to like HIV and AIDS prevention. That's kind of where it comes to be more abstinence centered, abstinence centered instead of abstinence only.
Okay, and are they gonna, obviously, they said we can look at the
Yes,
thing,
ma'am.
but with it being abstinence-centered, will there be any information more about also if, you're talking about making good choices and
Yeah.
safe choices, where if a high school or, middle schooler chooses that, are they going to educate on safe sex on top of that, even though it's an abstinence program, because that's part of making a good choice?
I agree with you, and we're gonna look at that as a committee and as a board policy. I think they might review that. As of right now, we're looking at just abstinence centered, saying no, except for maybe a contraceptive to prevent HIV AIDS spread. But that's as far as we're gonna go for right now. But that is, I'm sure we can look at that as a committee further on. Yes, ma'am. Any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
Can you go back to
Yeah.
first or second grade, and will you click on personal health and wellness?
Yes, ma'am. So you say first or second, there's no
Yeah,
preference?
just,
Okay.
I'm curious about what these young kids
Of course, yeah. Okay,
aren't
so
even aware of.
I'll go grade 2, if that's okay with you. We can do both. And then personal health and wellness. This is personal hygiene, oral health, including ways to prevent the spread of disease. They do not contain lessons on this topic in grade 2, but they are found in kindergarten grades 1, 3, and 5, so it's okay with you. We'll go back to grade 1, and I'll click on the personal health and wellness. Yeah, so stop the sneeze, washing the hands the right way, and preventing tooth decay. Would you like me to look at grades 3 and 5 as well?
No, that should be good.
Okay, yes, ma'am. All right, any other questions? Awesome, well, if it's okay with you guys and Miss Elaine, I'll turn it back over to you. Sure.
As you can see, with this particular curriculum, it's very detailed. There's a lot of information out there. I know a lot of the times people want to, when they say a curriculum, they want to be able to come and have their hands on a book. This is a curriculum, this is what we're going to use. But as you can see, it is very detailed for each grade level. There's a lot of lessons for each grade level. That way it is age appropriate. And we're following the state standards. The state standards are up here. If any of you would like to have copies of these, they are grade specific as to what has to be taught in each one of them. This is put forth by the Tennessee Department of Education. So again, all of this is out on display. We felt like instead of just putting it on display, we needed to explain it to you just a little bit and show you the digital platform and now it's kind of your time to get up, walk around, talk to the individuals that's gonna be teaching it, take a look at all of the materials that we have out here. If you have questions and concerns, we can do that now, or we can do it after you look at the information. Feel free to write your concerns down here. Anything else that y'all would like to do before you stand and walk around? Questions, concerns? Yes.
Just want to emphasize that parents will be allowed to opt their children out of any lesson that they want them opted out of. Not just the whole thing. If you, it's kind of pick what you want, and we want to make sure that we're meeting what parents want and what our community wants, and we're following the state standards that are put down from the Department of Education and the State Board of Education. We won't be teaching things that aren't in the standards. And again, if it's parental, they can opt out. They say, we don't want them to do any family life if you feel like that's what your job is as a parent. Or if you want help with it and there's certain things you want, then you can pick that out. So I think that's important to know, that there is a choice there for everybody.
Can we, like at any time go up and, like, let's just say, like, my daughter's in 3rd grade. So at any point in time, can I go up and request the curriculum specifically for 3rd grade?
Absolutely. You can go directly to the school that your child goes to school to, ask to speak to one of these ladies here, probably the guidance counselor, and she'll be able to pull up this particular curriculum and let you see each one of those lessons. And in the 6th through the 12th grade, the middle school and the high school, again, this is the permission slip. It's gonna go home for them to be able to opt out. On the back side, of course, this is blank because it's different for middle school or high school, but those lessons will be listed that's going to be taught. All of this will be taught usually in the spring. It's not something that's gonna be taught next week. So I think that's something also important to know, is that it's usually something that's taught in the spring. Yes.
She said that the creator can update the program at any time. How will parents or the community be notified if there's updates to the lessons?
They can update us and we'll update you guys appropriately, maybe on a social media platform. I don't know if there'll be any major updates that are super, altering. They might, update verbiage, they might update a lesson, but if they alter or update anything, then we as a committee then let you guys know promptly.
What's considered promptly? And I'm just asking because the notice for this meeting was incredibly short.
I'd say promptly in a matter of a few days. Like I said, they actually told me they don't make a lot of changes. They make them, they let us know fairly quick by email within a couple of business days, and I can let Elaine know the same day, and then we can work together making that very quick and seamless.
Any other questions? We will be here if you want to walk around, take a look. Ashley can pull up anything in particular if you have a specific lesson that you would like for her to pull up, and then we can answer individual questions. If there's nothing else, y'all are free to take a look at everything. Again, these are the standards here.